Hi my loves, welcome back. So this video isn't exactly fancy. I'm sitting outside the vet's office waiting for my kitty to be checked out. So I figured this was a perfect time to make a video of a conversation I had with a friend earlier today. She texted me and she asked, Jordy, what do you mean that people don't always want help? So I really want to unpack this with you. What I mean by that is that, and again, let me go back even farther. We're reading a book together. I'm going to be interviewing the author in a few days. And as we're unpacking that, there's a chapter where she talks about not helping everybody because everybody doesn't want your help. And the words are something along the lines of it's selfish to want to help somebody when they don't want the help. So when I was explaining it to her, I gave her the example of me way back in the day giving money to friends and family for whatever they needed. So every time they had an emergency, it was like it was mine. I would literally drop everything that I was doing and just figure out the money. How can I help? I would be there. I would drop my job, my relationship, my anything to be supportive, to be a good daughter, to be a good friend. And this is where we go back to it being selfish, is that what is being good? A lot of times we have people like friends or family who are complaining and they're like, oh, my life is so hard, or man, I never have money, or I never make enough. And every time they have an emergency, their house is on fire, their dog broke their foot, or whatever is happening in their lives, and we're the person that they call and they vent over and over and over again. A lot of times people complaining is not an invitation for us to help them. But I grew up in a home where family is everything. And as much as it is, there were no boundaries. There were no disclaimers. It was like you drop everything and you help family. And although those values were beautiful, there were some mistakes that happened along the way, because it's almost like me being a good person triggered the predator in other people, and it made them comfortable with doing the bare minimum because I could fill the gap. Not only could I fill the gap, I willingly fill the gap. So what this looked like is my friend saying, oh my God, I'm going through a breakup. And I'm like, girl, call me, I got you. If you need anything, let me know. Or my friend, I don't know, having a situation at home and me being like, girl, I'm on my way. Nobody asked me to be. Nobody said I needed to be on standby or available or send money or be present. But I put myself in that scenario, which makes regular people, even good people, be like, well, if she's willing, why do I want to work hard? Why do I want to figure this out on my own? So going back to the original topic of why it's selfish, it's because it's feeling a need for you and not for them. And let that sink in for a moment. So even though for my friend, it's like, oh, she's such a good friend, she's always there, it was just feeling the need of me to look good as a friend. Even though my parents weren't necessarily asking for money or for me to drop everything and be there, my willingness to give it made it like, oh, we're good because Jordy will take care of the situation. But yet I would be eating ramen noodles and rice while they were driving a brand new car off the lot, or having, trips and vacations. So essentially what was happening, and it wasn't a conscious taking advantage, it was an unconscious, this is just what we do for each other. When there's a hardship, we all chip in, we all help out. But I want to put into perspective that idea of selfish, because it's really filling a void for you to be good, or the perception of good. Because in reality, if somebody's not asking for help, they do not want it. I have had friends, and not even me, I'm going to give the example of my mom, right? She's had a friend for decades, literally. And every time this friend calls, she's like, oh, she's done so much for me, so I'm available. And she will be on the phone for hours, right? Technically nothing wrong with that, except she could be using that time for herself, to work on her inner work, to work on her business, to live life. But instead, she will drop everything, sit on the phone 2 to 3 hours at a time, just to be a good friend. And then when I sat with it, I was like, man, so where is the reciprocity here? Where is the friend doing the same thing for her? And even though in the past she had, at this point in her life, it's just complaining. It's just, oh, woe me, life is so hard, help, help, help. The thing that happened is I tested this theory with her, and I told her, hey, don't be available the next day. And obviously she fought me on this, but she wasn't available the next 2 or 3 times. And then she started to notice how much free time she had. How it wasn't a concern in her mind that her friend was having an emergency, because when my mom was not available, she figured it out. Same for me. When I didn't have the money to give, or the time to give or my energy to give to someone or something in their emergency, somehow they grew up, they figured it out, and the perception of being a good friend is literally subjective. Because for me at the beginning, it was like, I need to be available for everything they need because therefore I'm a good person. Now, being a good person is believing that they're capable just like me and they can figure it out just like me. And the beauty that's happened is that every single person in my life has grown up because of this. Now they no longer depend or rely on me or anyone else. They're first and foremost check in with themselves, and they don't make decisions that put them in a bad situation. And when they do, and I really can help, or I'm overflowing and I'm able to give, I happily help. But I never offer out my home, money, my time, energy unless somebody requests it. And when they do, I check in with myself and I'm like, is this out of alignment for me? Is it putting me in a situation where I don't want to be? Is it making me feel like I'm sacrificing? Is it taking something that I'm not willing to give? Is it interfering with relationships or my home life or my peace? And when I run it down that filter, this is where it's selfish. As long as you are available, you are enabling other people to stay in their brokenness, but also you're filling a void that's coming out of trauma. Who cares if you're perceived as a good person or not? Just decide that it doesn't matter how you're perceived. You are going to honor yourself and you are going to let other people grow up. So all of that to say, I had this stream of consciousness from the conversation earlier today, and I am the poster child for having been there, done that, and getting to this place where I am still working on it actively. But just realizing so many things about myself that I didn't have to do, that nobody asked me to do, nobody gave me that role except for me. So I want to let that sit in your spirit. Just sleep on it, breathe through it. But whenever it clicks, you will thank me. So if any of it resonated for you, awesome. If it hasn't, that's okay. You landed here for a reason, and it's, giving the information to your brain, and it'll make sense when it needs to. It's like planting a little seed, and then it's going to sprout at the right time. So I believe that's all I have for today. I love you guys. Comment below if you have any questions, if there's any topic you want me to go into, if you want to subscribe and follow along. I have so much more coming your way, but I'm grateful that you cut this video. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.